mic over here. Suppose people want to hear me. Of course, it's kind of the entire enterprise, isn't it? Hello, everyone. Thomas Townley here. Ready to record another couple of episodes of Multiverse Tonight. Last episodes really didn't have as many viewers. We're down like 10 viewers or 10 listeners on each episode, but c'est la vie. It's what it is. A good show today. A lot of good stuff to talk about. I got stuff that happened at New York Comic Con and all that. Stuff set up here. My phone. I have my phone here, but I don't use it. It's not like I look at my phone. Well, it's fall. Pretty soon it's gonna be winter. This weekend it's gonna get down to the mid 30s. That's why I'm wearing my sweater because we've turned off the air conditioning, but the house is now just cold because retaining that cold that builds up overnight. So it is what it is. And the Star Trek short treks are back. I'm not going to give money to CBS All Access until Picard comes out. I'm just going to wait. These short treks, though, interesting as they are, the next one features H. John Benjamin, from Archer and Bob's Burgers in it, as the person who discovers tribbles. As interesting as that is, as interesting as it sounds, to watch that, it's not something that I need, that I feel a need to go and watch. It's just not, just not there, so. Anyway, let's get ready to push record and get on with it. I haven't really had. I've had a bagel and a scoop of ice cream today, and that's about it. So I need to eat some more. And the only way to do that is to finish recording these episodes. So here it goes. All right. Tonight, fans won a statue for Nog, Picard and Discovery hit New York Comic Con, and the Walking Dead universe gets an unsurprising name. All that and more on this edition of Multiverse Tonight. Comic books, sci-fi, fantasy, and more. If you're looking for a roundup of geeky news, you're in the right place. This is Multiverse Tonight. And here's your host, Thomas Townley. Hello all, and welcome to the sci-fi edition of Multiverse Tonight. And episode number 44. We've, it's fall. How's that new fall TV season hitting you? My wife and I have gotten into Evil on CBS, which features, The guy who used to be Luke Cage. And it's a pretty good show. We're also glad that The Good Place is back on. You know, it's having a good time. So, besides that, I have a question for you. Is 10 years too long to do a sequel? I asked this because Zombieland Double Tap is coming out, and the first one was 10 years ago. And I find myself asking the question, is this too long to come out with a sequel? Now, to prove the point that it's too long, let's take a look at Independence Day Resurgence. It was a good movie. It could have been a great movie, but it was just too long from the first movie to this one. The first Independence Day movie came out in 1996. The sequel was 20 years later, 2016. In other words, 20 years might just be too long, too wide a space. It might have been better to just relaunch the series with a new movie, or even put the first one back in the theaters for a month before you put the sequel out, so people can remember the first one, and then you release the sequel. Either way, let's just come up with a rule. 20 years, too long. Is 10 years too long? I guess we'll see shortly. Personally, I think a sequel shouldn't be more than 5 years after the previous one. More than that, you have to either reboot the whole thing or re-release that previous episode in a wide release so that everyone gets caught up. Anyway, let's get on with the news. Now, as we discussed in the last edition, the loss of Aaron Eisenberg was sudden and it really hit the fan base hard. The outpouring of grief has been great, and some Star Trek fans have taken the initiative and have put up a petition on change.org to have a statue of Captain Nog on display somewhere in Starfleet Academy in a future season of Picard. It would make, sense timeline-wise, as the show does take place decades after Deep Space Nine, and the time period in which Nog would or could have been the captain. So far, over 2,600 have signed, and we'll have a link to that petition in our show notes. Now, they were asked at New York Comic Con if Captain Nog could possibly be made canon. Alex Kurtzman said, quote, "We saw that petition, and obviously we would love to honor Aaron in any way possible. So we will look for an opportunity," unquote. So I'm guessing we see something in Picard Season 2. Perhaps we could also get a mention in the Lower Decks? The second season of Picard has been revealed by Sir Patrick and will start production in March of next year. He spoke about the show at the University of Huddersfield in Huddersfield, West Yorkshire, England. Speaking to the Examiner live, Mr. Stewart said, quote, "I'm not giving up my stage work, though it may have to wait for now because there are 3 projects that I have finished, 2 films and the TV series, which all need promotion. So I am clearing the decks for that, and then there is also the possibility of a second Picard series filming in March next year," unquote. The show is eagerly awaited and will start airing on CBS All Access on January 23rd, 2020. I really want to see this more than I want to see Discovery. Anyway, Star Trek Voyager's commanding officer, Kate Mulgrew, took time out to commemorate the 25th anniversary of her first ever scenes as Captain Catherine Janeway. She wrote on Facebook, quote, "It's come to my attention that on this day, 25 years ago, I filmed my first scenes as Captain Janeway. Thus, 25 years ago today, I walked into the bridge and my life changed utterly. A singularly privileged and extraordinary journey on that intrepid vessel with my beloved crew. How lucky I have been," unquote. It should be noted that she was the second to take the role after actress Genevieve Bujold quit a few days into filming. Congratulations to the cast and crew of Voyager on the anniversary. Maybe we'll get to see some more Voyager characters in Picard than just 7 of 9, like Lieutenant J.G. Harry Kim. Just teasing. I'm sure he's a lieutenant commander by now. IDW is helping celebrate the 40th anniversary of 1979's Star Trek The Motion Picture with a magazine-sized facsimile edition of Marvel Comics' Star Trek The Motion Picture magazine. Here's the official blurb. Star Trek The Motion Picture Facsimile Edition, written by Marv Wolfman, Dave Cockrum and Klaus Janson art, and Bob Larkin color. An alien presence of enormous power enters Federation space, destroying 3 powerful Klingon cruisers and neutralizing everything in its path. As it heads toward Earth, Admiral James T. Kirk returns to the helm of an upgraded USS Enterprise and sets course to meet the aggressor head-on. This spectacular adaptation, featuring work by industry legends Marv Wolfman, Dave Cockrum, and Klaus Janson, boldly represented in its original form, full color, 64 pages, 8.5 by 11, $5.99. Represented in its original magazine form. Includes all the original essays, interviews, and glossary. This is scheduled for release on December 18th, which is just a week after the movie opened back in 1979. Yeah, I was 4 years old. I'm an old fart, I admit it. Speaking of the motion picture, it may have been a bit plodding, but it sure was pretty. Titan Books is releasing a new coffee table book celebrating the art and visual effects of the first Star Trek movie called Star Trek The Motion Picture, Inside the Art and Visual Effects. Written by Jeff Bond and Gene Kosinski, according to a press release from StarTrek.com, quote, with this artistic guide, fans can celebrate the landmark 40th anniversary of the motion picture's release by discovering the visual artistry that made this an enduring science fiction classic. For the first time ever, explore archival material created by legendary Star Trek collaborators including Robert Abel, Sid Mead, Ralph McQuarrie, Andrew Probert, and Ken Adams, showcasing visionary special effects, concept art, scale models, matte painting, and more. This stunning hardback coffee table book will be published on May 12th, 2020, priced at $39.95 or $29.99 quid, unquote. Sounds interesting, you know? Of course, I have plenty of coffee table books on my table right now, so it might have to wait. New York Comic Con has brought us a lot of news on Discovery and Picard. They released new trailers for both the series, and CBS All Access has released the first short trek, with the second short trek debuting in the following week. Marvel, frankly, I won't pay for those short treks until Picard comes out. But good news, we have a release date for Picard, January 23rd, 2020. The trailer seemed to confirm my suspicion that Data is just in Picard's dreams. We also see our first look at Old Man Riker and Troy. Looks like they're in retirement as well. So let me take a moment to dissect this trailer. Again, you got the Data being in his dream. 2, it looks like Starfleet admirals are still a bunch of hard asses. And 3rd, I'm guessing that he goes to the Rikers for help, and either they turn him down or give him somewhere else to turn for help. Finally, we see a damaged Borg cube, and we know we have 2 ex-Borg on this journey, so how do the Borg factor into the story? Or is it just a side quest? Side quests. What we all must do. In the Discovery trailer, it looks like Burnham and the ship didn't arrive at the same time. There are also hints that the Federation might have collapsed at some point in the future as well. So I'm guessing the Discovery will have to help rebuild the Federation. So I guess we'll see that sometime in 2020 when the show returns. No confirmed date yet. Just wish they had something to show us from the lower decks animated series. I really want to see that. Anyway, let's go on to Star Wars news.
Roger, roger.
Now, it's not often I dip a toe into politics on the show, and for good reason. But the New York Times opinion Twitter feed posted something cute after the United States House of Representatives finally opened an impeachment inquiry into the possible high crimes and misdemeanors of Donald Trump. put up in an informational little Star Wars-like crawl entitled "The Last Straw." It's very cute, and I'll have a link to that in our show notes. You should. It's very informative and funny at the same time. Disney Plus's Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which should really be titled "Oh Kenobi." Get it? Anyway, has found a director, Deborah Chow, she just finished up work on The Mandalorian's first season, and will be directing on the show, which will see Ewan McGregor back in Obi-Wan's boots and finds the Jedi in hiding 8 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. No word on when they get to work yet and what the plot exactly is. I wonder if we'll get to see Luke. He should be about 8 years old, right? Maybe the show is Obi-Wan taking Luke on ventures. I hope it's not just Obi-Wan watching Luke through binoculars, because that's kind of creepy in this day and age. Kevin Feige's newly announced Star Wars film is a big newsmaker lately, and Ming-Na Wen and Chris Evans once in. Chris Evans volunteered for Feige's project on Twitter in response to a Collider story asking which MCU actor people would want to see in a Star Wars movie. Evans replied with one word, quote, "Me," unquote. Ming-Na Wen also chimed in to Chris's response with her own quote, "Me too," hashtag Star Wars, unquote. Wen is already expected to appear in The Mandalorian and has more than enough geek cred to be a good choice for any role in the new film. Would you like to see Ming-Na Wen or Chris Evans on a future project? Who else would make a good choice for a new Star Wars movie? Let me know on Twitter, email, or Instagram. So, what's in the future for everyone's favorite Wookiee, Chewbacca? Will he ever get a comb? Chewie actor Junus Sotomo spoke with Radio Times about the rise of Skywalker and Chewie's role, but he played it very close to the vest, saying, quote, "Well, we're going to have to wait and see," refusing to confirm or deny Chewbacca's fate. He continued, "I would love to see Chewie more, but everything depends on this next film and the story," unquote. He might have been quiet on Chewie's role. He did have glowing words for the movie, telling the site, quote, "It's a great story, and we're going to have to wait until December to see what that's all about. Everyone's back together. They're going on a great adventure together, facing the ever-growing danger from the First Order, and that's going to be something to see," unquote. Hopefully, we might see Chewie in The Mandalorian. Frankly, it would be nice to have a Chewie animated series. You know, The Adventures of Chewbacca. Anyway, in The Force Awakens, you remember when Kylo destroyed his helmet? Well, I guess he unbroke it. JJ addressed his helmet, which you can see in the trailer and the new action figure, which just came out this past Force Friday. Abrams told Empire Magazine, quote, "Having him be masked, but also fractured, is a very intentional thing. Like that classic Japanese process of taking ceramics and repairing them, and how the breaks, in a way, define the beauty of the piece, as much as the original itself. As fractured as Ren is, the mask becomes a visual representation of that. There's something about this that tells his story. His mask doesn't ultimately hide him, and his behavior is revealed," unquote. You know, they should have made a short film of him supergluing the mask back together. Hey, Robot Chicken, there's a free sketch idea for you. You're welcome. Now, Force Friday has arrived, and there was a lot of new toys that have arrived, and we'll have a link to an Entertainment Weekly news report that showcases all the new toys that came out. Marvel will be relaunching the Star Wars comic book this January with a new creative team and story that Lucasfilm confirmed at NYCC. The new series will take place between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and will have Charles Soule as writer and art by Jesus Saz. The official press release describes the new series as, quote, "In the wake of the events following The Empire Strikes Back, it is a dark time for the heroes of the rebellion. The rebel fleet scattered following a disastrous defeat at the Battle of Hoth. Han Solo lost to the bounty hunter Boba Fett, after being frozen in carbonite, and after being lured into a trap on Cloud City and bested in a vicious lightsaber duel against the evil Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker learned the horrible truth about his past. Vader did not kill Luke's father, Anakin. Vader is Luke's father. Spoilers. Now, after narrowly escaping the Dark Lord's clutches and wounded and reeling from the revelation, Luke, Princess Leia, Lando Calrissian, the Wookiee Chewbacca, and the droids C-3PO and R2-D2 must fight their way back to the Rebel Alliance. For the fate of the entire galaxy is at stake. After so many losses, is victory still possible? But what Leia and Luke and a ragtag band of freedom fighters do not realize is that they have only traded one Imperial trap for another. Enter the cunning and vengeful Imperial Commander Zara at the helm of the Tarkin's will. Unquote. I'm surprised that they would name anything after Grand Moff Tarkin after the Death Star blew up. Now, let me take a moment to refresh my whistle while you listen to this. Hey everyone, we'll get right back to the news, but first, I'd like to tell you about our new affiliate, Stitcher Premium. With Stitcher Premium, you get all your favorite podcasts, but you get them all with no ads. That's right, no audio ads, no banner ads, not even ads on the archives of some of your favorite shows. You also get access to Stitch originals like Marvel's Wolverine, The Long Night, Issa Rae's Fruit, and Colt Cabana's Pro Wrestling Fringe. You also get access to bonus episodes, access to new releases first, and access to the hundreds of comedy albums at your fingertips, and so much more. To get started, just go to Stitcher.com/premium and enter promo code Multiverse for a free month. After that, pay just $4.99 a month, and you can save even more by going yearly for just $34.99. That's nearly a $25 savings over the monthly rate. So go to Stitcher.com/premium and enter promo code Multiverse today. Thanks me, and thanks Stitcher there for their time. The third of Stranger Things has come and gone. People waited in anticipation for news of Season 4. Well, your pleas have been answered. Season 4 has been announced by Netflix with a new teaser trailer. The video ends with the cryptic, "We're not in Hawkins anymore," unquote. Road trip. No date when the next season will arrive, but it's likely in late 2020 or 2021. The second season for Snowpiercer has moved back to TNT. Warner Media announced this past week the show based on the film has been announced to move from TNT to TBS. The show has not had an easy life, having lost 2 showrunners and 2 directors already. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Chief Content Officer of HBO Max and President of TNT, TBS, and True TV, Kevin Riley, explained, quote, "We've had the unique opportunity to more thoroughly test and explore where this show will best perform. While we are still adding dramas to TBS, such as Obliterated, after further research and consideration, we've decided to keep Snowpiercer on TNT," unquote. Now, he went on to say that even though this is an incredible post-apocalyptic sci-fi series in its entirety, it's better to understand the audience that the show will appeal to, and they're more confident that it will perform stronger on TNT. Now, a release date for Season 2 has not been announced, but the second season should arrive in spring of 2020. Disney will apparently be making another live-action Inspector Gadget movie, according to a report from The Hollywood Reporter. The movie will be produced by Dan Lin and Jonathan Eric, who produced the live-action Aladdin movie. Mikey Day and Streeter Seidel will write the script. The film, which will be based on the 80s cartoons about a detective full of gadgets, last saw the big screen in 1999 with Matthew Broderick playing the title role. It didn't perform great, but it did do well enough to merit a direct-to-DVD sequel a few years later. Disney is busy making live-action versions of cartoon classics. Lady and the Tramp, Mulan, Cruella, Little Mermaid, and Lilo and Stitch are still on the docket. The Walking Dead family of shows and movies has an official name, and it's, well, kind of redundant. AMC posted on Twitter that the title was The Walking Dead Universe. Wouldn't the Walkerverse work better? Did they think people might confuse it with Walker Texas Ranger? By the way, Walker Texas Ranger is getting a reboot starring Supernatural's Jared Padalecki. The showrunner for The Walking Dead is hinting that this season will have more lighter moments than previously in order to balance out the tone of the show. Kang, talking to TV Line, said, quote, "There's a certain amount of fun, even though there's this really, really tense and scary thing that's ramping up for our people. That's something we really want to explore with our people, a way to blow off steam. We're all human at the end of the day, and you can't always be living in a dark, nihilistic state. That's very difficult. So for our people to be able to have these lighter moments helps them, and it helps the actors too deal with the seriousness of everything else that's happening." Unquote. We also learned at the New York Comic Con that Lauren Cohen will be returning to the series. Cohen's Maggie will return sometime in season 10 and then will become a regular character again in season 11. The sequel to the reboot of Halloween, Halloween Kills, is bringing back characters from the past. Anthony Michael Hall will be back as Tommy Doyle, one of the kids that Laurie Strode was babysitting in the original. And also returning will be Nancy Stevens, who played Nurse Marion Chambers, who was nearly killed by Michael in the original Halloween. Halloween Ends will be in theaters 2 years from now on October 15th, 2021. And finally, some good news for fans of the now Hulu original series, The Orville. We got some news out of New York Comic Con. A panel was held for the show with everyone but the always busy Seth MacFarlane, and it was revealed that there will be 11 episodes in season 3. Now, that may seem small, but it was also revealed that these episodes would be longer than they used to be, up to 12 to 15 minutes longer, according to Orville co-producer Tom Constantino. The show will return about a year from now in late 2020. And that brings us to the end of another sci-fi edition of Multiverse Tonight. Now, be sure to check us out on our social media. We're at Twitter, at Multiverse Tom. We're also on Facebook and Instagram as well. And if you would like to donate some money to us, please visit mtpodcast.com to go to our Coffee or Patreon links as well. And be sure to visit multiversetonight.com and check out our affiliate marketplace links, the link to our TeePublic store, show notes, and so much more. Now, if you're a subscriber, please be sure to share us with your friends, and if you're brand new to the show, please be sure to subscribe and leave us with, some feedback and let us know how we're doing. Special thanks to Shane Ivers for our intro music and Lobo Loco for our outro music theme. Thanks for watching the sci-fi edition of Multiverse Tonight. We'll be back in 2 days with the comic book edition. Now, please, exit the universe in an orderly fashion. Good night. Alright. Now for the comics edition. Tonight, Sony and Disney get along, Rachel Maddow enters the Arrowverse, and Todd McFarlane makes a world record on this edition of Multiverse Tonight. Comic books, sci-fi, fantasy, and more. If you're looking for a roundup of geeky news, you're in the right place. This is Multiverse Tonight. And here's our host, Thomas Townley. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the comics edition of Multiverse Tonight. We've got a lot of good news in the show today. Fall is here, winter is fast approaching, and I suppose it's good to have a lot of things to do indoors. I've picked up a lot of coffee table books recently: the DC Anatomy of a Metahuman book and Tobin's Spirit Guide from Insight Editions. They were on sale. A good price, nice books. It's just a good time to, sit back, snuggle, curl up with something, good read. Winter is coming. So, let's get on with the Marvel news. The Black Widow movie is in production, and it looks like General Thunderbolt Ross might be showing up. Podcaster @_Charles Murphy on Twitter posted that, quote, William Hurt, aka Thunderbolt Ross, is currently on the set of what I believe to be additional photography for Black Widow. ScarJo is not believed to be there. Could Ross be visiting with Yelena in a post-credit scene setting up a Thunderbolts project? That I cannot confirm, unquote. Now, last time we saw him was in Endgame paying his respects at the funeral for Tony Stark. Of course, this movie takes place between Captain America Civil War and Infinity War. Is he hunting Natasha after she defected in Civil War? Is he trying to recruit her for his own team? I guess we'll have to wait and see when the movie comes out on May 1st, 2020. Variety reports that with Marvel Studios starting work on TV shows, the fate of Marvel Television seems to be up for some debate. According to several sources that have spoken with Variety, the consensus is that live-action productions will all, if not mostly, be taken away from Jeff Loeb's Marvel Television division and placed in the more powerful Kevin Feige's camp in the future. An unknown TV lit agent who spoke to the publication said, quote, Feige's shows are so far beyond anything Marvel TV has been able to do. He has access to all of these MCU characters that the other Marvel live-action stuff just doesn't, not to mention way bigger budgets, unquote. The budgets for the Marvel Studios projects would probably be way higher than Marvel TV currently gets, with budgets probably in the $100 million range for 6 to 8 episodes. For comparison, the first seasons of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist combined was around $200 million. Though Marvel Television has had its share of successes itself, the current slate of shows has, atrophied to Runaways on Hulu, Cloak and Dagger at Freeform, and the upcoming series Hellstrom. However, it should be noted that Marvel TV does have a lot of upcoming animated shows in its portfolio, including the slate of new animated shows that are coming to Hulu. So, should Marvel Television stick to animation and leave the TV shows to Marvel Studios instead? Or should they just fold themselves into Marvel Studios? What do you think? Marvel Comics and Games Workshop has announced that they are teaming up to publish comics based on the Warhammer line of tabletop games. Games Workshop announced on their website, then they said, quote, Marvel Comics are the name behind many of the world's best loved superhero characters, like Spider-Man, the Avengers, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four. Games Workshop stated as part of as more with more than 80 years of comics experience, Marvel has built an amazing reputation for bringing together the best comic book writers and artists to forge stories that span generations. It's not for nothing that Marvel has cemented itself as a household name. Unquote. This isn't Warhammer's first foray into comics, having teamed up with Titan Comics, but that deal ended last year. No title or creative teams or release dates have been announced. Marvel and Sony have made a deal for more Spider-Man, thanks to Spider-Man actor Tom Holland. Disney CEO Bob Iger, appearing on Jimmy Kimmel Live, confirmed the actor's involvement, telling Jimmy, quote, We had an event called D23, which is a big Disney fan event. Tom was there because he's a voice in the new Pixar movie called Onward with Chris Pratt. And he said something on stage. It was clear that the fans wanted Tom back as Spider-Man made by Marvel and our Marvel production team. After D23, Tom reached out to folks who worked for me. Could I please have Bob's email or phone number? Of course, I'm very protected, and they were very careful. I said, sure, have him contact me. And he did. We spoke. Basically, he cried on the phone. Jimmy Kimmel replied to him, What? Really? Iger then continued with a laugh, saying, No, not really. But it was clear that he cared so much, and actually we care a lot about him. He's a great Spider-Man. I actually felt for him, and it was clear that the fans wanted this to happen. So after I got off the phone with him, I made a couple of phone calls to our team at Disney Studios, and then I decided to call the head of Sony, and I said, well, we gotta figure out a way to get this done, for Tom and for the fans, and we did. That's how it happened. He called me, and I called them. Unquote. The deal is for 2 more movies. The sequel to Homecoming in July 2021, and then another unknown movie. Both produced by Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige. Disney will get a proportionally bigger cut of the profits, reportedly 25% versus the previous cut of 5%, but will have to pay a proportionally 25% of the production costs. Sony will get the remaining monies plus the distribution fee. With the bad blood behind them, Deadline reports that John Watts is in talks to return to the franchise for the 3rd MCU Spider-Man movie. During the X-Men panel at New York Comic Con, Marvel announced a new ongoing series for Wolverine, his first since 2014. Wolverine #1 will be written by Benjamin Percy, with art by Adam Kubert and Victor Bogdanovich. Percy has experience writing about Wolverine, having written Wolverine: The Long Night and the Lost Trail podcasts. The series will debut in February. Now, let's go on to some DC news. Brandon Routh has put the S back on, and as expected, he's going to be the Kingdom Come version of Superman. A photo of Brandon Routh was released with the actor in the costume with graying temples. Brandon will join Tom Welling and Erica Durant, and who will be the crossover editions of Superman and Lois Lane from Smallville. Routh has also been doing double duty as Ray the Atom Palmer. He will be turning his powers over to the new Atom, Ryan Choi, who will be played by Osric Chow. The Crisis crossover will begin on Supergirl on December 8th, and will continue on that week's Batwoman and The Flash, and then continue on January 14th on Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. Joining these stars in the crossover will be Ashley Scott, who played Huntress on Birds of Prey, the WB series that lasted for 13 episodes back in 2002. Supergirl has a new suit and a new haircut this season, but they almost decided not to have her have that haircut for the show. Costume designer Victoria Auth told Insider.com, quote, "We are moving the whole concept of Supergirl into a bit more sophistication, and I think she just thought, new suit, new do." It kind of worked to balance each other. They were going to put her in a wig and hold on to the old cut, but then once they saw it, they thought it was a nice freshening, unquote. Didn't Supergirl have a mohawk in one version of the comic books? Frankly, I've always liked Supergirl with that billowy Farrah Fawcett kind of hair, but that's just me. MSNBC host Rachel Maddow will be making an appearance on Batwoman. The Hollywood Reporter says she will play DC Universe TV and radio personality Vesper Fairchild. In the comics, the character was one of Bruce Wayne's one-time girlfriends. Maddow will be seen once but heard in multiple episodes. Rachel shared her excitement on Twitter saying, quote, "I know no one's going to believe this is true, but it's true. I'm Vesper Fairchild in the new Batwoman TV show that starts this Sunday night on the CW. My character is so not me. Turns out playing her is one of the most fun things I've ever done," unquote. Showrunner Caroline Dries said in a statement, quote, "We consider Vesper Fairchild to be the sardonic voice of Gotham. In addition to Rachel's interest in Batwoman, we thought she'd be the perfect casting choice because her own hard-hitting journalism wildly contrasts Vesper's penchant for snark, gossip, and criticism of female superheroes," unquote. And hot on the heels of that announcement comes this one. Sebastian Rauch from The Man in the High Castle and Vampire Diaries has joined the cast of Batwoman as a recurring character named Dr. Campbell. The Joker is getting a lot of mileage this year, isn't he? Legendary filmmaker John Carpenter is getting his turn at the Clown Prince of comic as the writer of the comic The Joker, Year of the Villain. Here's the blurb. In this one-shot special, Lex Luthor, now a human-alien hybrid, has made his appeal to the world, asking its citizens to embrace doom and give in once and for all to evil, humanity's true nature. In exchange, he will grant them the tools to ascend to their ultimate selves. While some DC villains and heroes are willing to hear what Apex Lex has to offer, the Clown Prince of Crime isn't going to wait around until Lex gets to him. This puts the Joker on a mission to get his swagger back in a world gone bad by outbatting everyone else, proving that the greatest evil is always the one that leaves them laughing, unquote. The comic will be out this week. Comedian and actor Peter Davidson missed the premiere of SNL to film James Gunn's The Suicide Squad in Atlanta. Pete also went on to a special screening of The Joker in Atlanta with the cast of the movie. James Gunn posted a picture of the cast on Instagram with the hashtag The Suicide Squad and Palm. Quote, "Many of us are doing weird things in this photo. After screening of Joker, thanks at WB Pictures," unquote. No word on when Pete will be returning to Saturday Night Live. At New York Comic Con, DC announced that they are releasing a new official DC timeline. In this timeline, Wonder Woman is the first superhero of the Golden Age. There are four eras on this timeline. The first, Dawn of the Heroic Age, includes the Justice Society of America, the All-Star Squadron, and the Freedom Fighters. The second, the Space Age, began with Superman and featured the Justice League and Doom Patrol before giving way to the third, the Age of Crisis, starting with Crisis on Infinite Earths. And the fourth, the Flashpoint, starting with Flashpoint, the current era, and extending into the future of the just reintroduced Legion of Superheroes. I'm pretty happy myself just to stay in that third. Anyway, let's take a moment and listen to this announcement from Stitcher. Hey everyone, we'll get right back to the news, but first, I'd like to tell you about our new affiliate, Stitcher Premium. With Stitcher Premium, you get all your favorite podcasts, but you get them all with no ads. That's right, no audio ads, no banner ads, not even ads on the archives of some of your favorite shows. You also get access to Stitch originals like Marvel's Wolverine, The Long Night, Issa Rae's Fruit, and Colt Cabana's Pro Wrestling Fringe. You also get access to bonus episodes, access to new releases first, and access to the hundreds of comedy albums at your fingertips, and so much more. To get started, just go to stitcher.com/premium and enter promo code Multiverse for a free month. After that, pay just $4.99 a month, and you can save even more by going yearly for just $34.99. That's nearly a $25 savings over the monthly rate. So go to stitcher.com/premium and enter promo code Multiverse today. Thanks, Stitcher, and thank you for doing that. Todd McFarlane believes that there will be a Spawn universe. Todd, speaking with comicbook.com's Jim Viscardi, was asked if it was time to expand Spawn even title-wise. Todd replied, quote, "So essentially, there's been a blink in the universe, and it's sort of awakened a bunch of things, or it's triggered a bunch of things. And so this battle that he'd been raging for 300 issues almost exclusively as a solo act is now going to slowly morph into that. Not necessarily that he's going to have a team, although that could be possible in the future. But that he's not going to be alone, and that there's going to be other soldiers in this war, because it's a daunting task, what he's trying to do right now, and he intellectually knows he can't do it by himself. So he's going to get help one way or another, whether he wants it or not. Help's coming. The bigger source stories moving forward is, what does that all mean? A, help is always good, but if the people helping you don't have the same mindset, or have their own agendas, or have their own attitudes, then what seems like it should be a positive can turn into a neutral or a negative. And those are all of these things that arguably any theme books go through, the mechanisms of who are all these individuals when they run into each other. He also went on to say that there would be new material coming to the books, and that from there they will hopefully be building up some new supervillains that will be on par with the Clown or some of the other characters that he's had in the book. And maybe in 10 years, they'll be on the same category as some of those iconic superheroes. He finished with, quote, "Don't know if it'll happen, but I think it's time. I think it's time to just create my Spawnverse, if you will," unquote. And with issue 301, the Guinness Book of World Records will be giving Todd McFarlane the world record for longest running creator-owned superhero comic book series. Congratulations to Mr. McFarlane. Netflix's BoJack Horseman is coming to an end with season 6. The last season will be presented in 2 parts. The first part will debut at the end of October, and the second half at the end of January. In a press release about it, McFarlane talked about how the long-running series came in on the backs of a lot of people, saying, quote, "As much as I am proud to be receiving this award, I gratefully accept it on the behalf of all those who helped me the past 27 years on this journey," unquote. Well, it's official now. Kevin Smith's next film will be Clerks 3. Kevin broke the news in a post on Instagram, and a poster standing next to Jay Muse and Jeff Anderson from the original Clerks, quote, "3 Clerks. Thanks to the good folks at Lilu Multiprops, I got to see Randall, Jeff Anderson, Jay Muse, and I spent Saturday signing stuff and catching up. Seeing so much movie merch that's been made over the last 25 years, hit the Lilu site for sweet science skateboards. But even better than that, we talked about making a movie together. It'll be a movie that concludes a saga. It'll be a movie about how you're never too old to completely change your life. It'll be a movie about how a decade-spanning friendship finally confronts the future. It'll be a movie that brings us back to the beginning, a return to the cradle of civilization in the great state of New Jersey. It'll be a movie that stars Jeff and Brian O'Halloran, with me and Jay in supporting roles. It'll be a movie called Clerks 3, unquote. This will be a new version of the script, and not the old one that he wrote a few years back. Disney Plus and Amazon have hit a snag. Amazon's Fire TV might not get Disney Plus when when Disney Plus debuts in a few months, in a dispute over advertising. Apparently, Amazon wants the right to sell a quote substantial percentage of the ad space on the Disney apps, unquote, according to a report from the Wall Street Journal. And Disney is putting up a fight. Let's hope that these two mega money giants come to an agreement by next month, as Disney Plus is set to debut on November 12th. Rick and Morty's return is imminent. Hallelujah. Adult Swim announced that Rick and Morty will be back for a 5-episode half-season run on January 10th. Now just remember, this is the beginning, as the show was renewed for 70 episodes. The Peacock Network NBC is putting into development a post-apocalyptic civilization rebuilding drama called The Vault from Keshet Studios and Universal TV. The Vault is written by Jesse Lasky and centers around a cataclysmic event that seemingly wipes out the planet. The survival of humanity rests upon Annie, a geobiologist who has been setting up a state-of-the-art facility in the Arctic known as The Vault. It houses a dozen experts in their respective fields, all with specific skill sets that would be essential in rebuilding civilization. Lasky executive produces the show with Kesset's Avi Nur, Peter Traugott, Rachel Kaplan, and Alon Strutzman. Lasky is managed by Echo Lake Entertainment. Joker has had a big opening weekend, nearly matching Justice League, and became Warner Brothers' second biggest opening weekend since Wonder Woman. So let's take a look at this week's past box office. Now let's start down at number 10. Falling from number 8 to number 10 is Good Boys. New film War debuted at number 9. Rambo Last Blood fell from number 6 to number 8. Ad Astra fell from number 5 to number 7. Judy came in this week up 1 from number 7 to number 6. It Chapter 2 is hanging on there. It just fell one slot from number 4 to number 5. Hustlers fell from number 3 to number 4. Downton Abbey fell from number 2 to number 3. The animated movie Abominable fell from number 1 to number 2, because you need something to take your kids to, because you're not taking them to Joker, which debuted at number 1 with 96.2 million on an average on 4,374 screens. So Joker did, very well. We'll see how it does in the next week. And that, of course, will bring us to the end of our show. And be sure to check us out on social media. We're at Twitter at Multiverse Tom, and we're also on Facebook and Instagram as well. And if you'd like to contribute some money, please visit mtpodcast.com to go to our Coffee or Patreon links. And please be sure to visit multiversetonight.com to check out our affiliate marketplace links, the link to our TeePublic store, our show notes, and so much more. And if you're a subscriber, please be sure to share us with your friends. And if you're brand new to the show, please be sure to subscribe. And leave us with some feedback and let us know how we're doing in general. Special thanks to Shane Ivers for our intro music and Lobo Loco for our outro music. Thanks for watching the comic book edition of Multiverse Tonight. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the sci-fi edition. Now, please, exit the universe in an orderly fashion. Good night. All right, folks. He said the known in particular. Thanks for watching our show today, and again, be sure to download our episodes. We're on, everywhere. Name a place, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, everywhere. Apple. Go just download us. Find friends. Put us on their phones. Whatever. Anyway, have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night.